You're just going to laugh. Okay, so here's the deal, right? In a production environment, when you get to a real company, you're going to want to have what's called a secondary DNS server for your computer system, okay? So a secondary DNS is actually fairly easy to throw together, right? You go to the named conf local in your bind directory, and what you want to do is you want to edit the named conf local, this file here, named conf local, right? Well, yeah, I guess the projector would help, wouldn't it? I'm telling you guys, this is like, I know it's Wednesday for everybody, but for me, it's like Monday. It's just like horrible. So in the meantime, I'm waving things around on the screen, and you guys can't see it. So this is secret information. So you have to sign the security waiver and everything else. So. And make sure that if you go and you give it to the Guardian or the New York Times, that you sky off to Hong Kong and then to Russia. All right. All right, so named conf local, right? And in the server, how we're doing it, what you want to do is you want to create a zone for your rack number, so rack 6, rack 5, CIS 217, highline.edu. But when you say allow transfer, right, you point it off to the file that contains all your stuff, all the stuff that you guys did on last Friday, and then you want to say allow transfer to the secondary, right? And that way the secondary can actually go in and then read your file for you. All right, and then when you go and you make your secondary, you want to make sure that your type is slave, and you put in the IP address of the master. And again, so that's really it. You copy over your configuration files from your master to your slave. All right, I know that sounds really, really weird for me to say master and slave this early in the morning, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's computer jargon. Yes, yes, you can have a safety word. The safety word is stop. All right. But that's really all you got to do. It's a really easy thing. You've got your master configuration. You know, I knew this was going to go right into the dirt the minute I said anything about master slave. But we got to use the right language because we're a technical class. So just put in your IP of your master, and boom, it should do a real quick zone transfer. If you take a look at your syslog, you'll actually see that that X transfer was passed over from master to secondary, master to slave. And that's really all you got to do. This is in a high availability kind of environment. You can do this in this class if you want to do it just to get the experience, but it's not anything I'm going to grade you on, right? But if you're working in a place like Quest or Comcast, you're going to have a series of hierarchies of DNS servers all the way through the system, right? And the way DNS works is a series of the true global masters, all the root servers, and then everyone is basically a slave off of that. But if you're internal to a company, then you're going to be the master for that company's domain. Right? So that's essentially how it works. So fairly straightforward. All right. How many people remember what LDAP is? How many people remember what Active Directory is? DC promo. That's one way of even just starting off Active Directory. What is a CN? What is a CN in Active Directory? Common name, correct. You have the same thing in LDAP. What is a DN in LDAP? Domain name, that's correct. And you're going to want to remember your domain name as rack 4, rack 6, rack 5, CIS 217.highline.edu because that is the domain you're going to be servicing, right? So rack 2, rack 4, rack 6, rack 5, rack 7, rack 3, all of you guys are going to be working on that particular one domain, right? So you really, really, really want to remember that when it asks you for the root domain for LDAP, that you are rack 4, rack 5, rack 6, CIS 217.highline.edu. This must absolutely, 100%, no errors, match the root domain that you gave in your DNS system. Because if there's a discrepancy between the two, then they'll start duking it out inside the computer over who gets to own what and do what with what domain, right? So whatever domain you gave yourselves other than a real live domain like Jenny or Susie or Michael or Bob.com, right? Your domain in your DNS must match the DNCN domain in your LDAP. Fairly easy to install. Sudo apt-get install slapd. All right, because we like slap. Sudo apt-get install slapd. and then all the other utilities that kind of go along with it. So I get this thing all up. What you also want to do is you want to download the Ldap Utilities while you're at it. If I can spell this morning. And that's it. Sudo apt-get install slapd and Ldap Utilities. And then hit enter. And then enter your password. And then go ahead and install that bad boy. So this is where you want to know about what your company looks like, right? So while that's busy doing that, so all programs. So let's just kind of bring this up in Word here real quick for a minute so we can kind of take a look at how we want to do. So if you have, so let's say we are really sure. All right, are you done doing weird shit? No. Okay. So let's see what we got. So if you are rack number .cis217.highline.edu, right? If that's your root domain, right? That's where you want to go and service people who are logging in remotely. And that's essentially, Ldap is kind of a container. So your root domain is going to be rack number blah, 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 blah. Right? Then you have a common name. Common names or people. Right? So you can do the same way as you do it in Active Directory with computers or with people. You can do the same thing here at OU is equal to an organizational unit. So that can be something like HR, IT, payroll, right? So what you can do here is basically when you're breaking out your organizational unit, you can also call it a security group, right? A security grouping. Because if you are part of payroll, you do not want everyone to have access to the payroll servers. So you can actually tie computers or people to that particular security grouping. All right? So just kind of interesting. All right. So slapd. Please enter the password for the admin entry of your Ldap directory. This is different than your root or your student password. So you have to remember this password. If you forget this password, it hashes it out all over the place, and it's almost impossible to reverse engineer. So if you're going to give it an administrator password, just remember whatever password you gave it. Right? This has absolutely nothing to do with MS SQL. This isn't even remotely like MS SQL. No. Throw Microsoft out the window. This has absolutely nothing to do with anything that you've seen with Microsoft. All right. So, yes, it is like MySQL. You have the MySQL password for root, and this is the same kind of concept. So the administrator password is something you don't ever want to forget, because if you do, you have to reinstall it, basically. And that's an ugly, ugly process. Confirm it. Make sure you typed it right. So everybody still got their Apache server up and running on their test box? Right? You did the Apache server SSL? The first week of this class, you guys did Apache with SSL. Right? Everybody still have that up and running? All right. So Ldap is an amazingly bad pain in the butt to manage from the command line. Right? So if you want to manage it from the web, right, you can actually go through and use, and I really recommend you kind of do this, PHP Ldap Admin. Right? It's a web-based browser to manage your Ldap server, and it will make your life tons easier. So if you have still are on the box that you installed your stuff on, right? If you're still on that box you installed Apache on, then you're good to go. If you didn't install Apache, then go ahead and install Apache with SSL, because the main reason why I'm going to recommend that you use SSL is because it's really, really, really bad form to log into your Ldap server over the network without encrypting the channel. Because if you don't encrypt the channel, then I can read everything that's coming off the network. And because there's a 166 class in here, all right, you want to make sure that everything that you use to command and control something is always encrypted from point to point. So just to kind of give you that one. But this will make your life a little bit easier. All right, so if you go up one, the Ldap. All right, so if you go into your Ldap directory underneath etc, all right, you're going to see a bunch of stuff in here. Ldap comp, schema, your daemon, and all the rest of it. All right, if we just look, I'm just going to open up Ldap comp so you guys can kind of see it. Right? It's a really, really, really small file. Right? Your base for this one is going to be, they put it in here as dcexample.com. So what we want to do is we want to sudo nano ldap.conf. All right, what we want to do is we have to give it a base, a place where it actually exists. So your DC, right, is going to be rack 7. All right, and don't follow along. DC equals CIS 217, comma, DC equals highline, comma, DC equals, and we're .edu, so not .com, right? And then our base URI, we can use this if we want to, so we can call it Ldap rack7.cis217.highline.edu. All right. Yes, there has to be an equal. And if I typo this one, like that one there, and don't use an equal, then the thing will fail on me. They shouldn't. But, you know, hey, this is. Yep. All right, notice the port here is 666. So that makes life interesting. If you want to change that port number, all right, and that's basically it. So go ahead and put in your URI that. Size limit, if you want to control the size so that people don't try to grab all the data out of your Ldap server, you can change the size limit. For this, it's just 12 queries, right? And if you do a certificate, it's going to look for the certificate for that. So if you want to make your own certificate for Ldap alone, so everything works securely, then you can do this for. Everybody remember what TLS is from your networking class? What's TLS? Going once? Nope. Going twice? Transport layer security, right? So basically, it's another end of using security between the computer that's requesting the login and the other folks and this server, right? And then that's it. You want to save it. How do I restart it? Sudo etc initd slapd restart. Sudo etc init.d slapd restart. Right? That's all you got to do. Right? So remember, init.d controls a lot of how your server processes stuff, and a lot of your core server functions are going to be in there. So as you add things like Ldap and all that other good stuff, it's going to kind of work out so that all your components, your Apache restart is here, your bind restart is here, your Ldap restart is here. You can restart MySQL from here, right? It just makes it kind of an easy way of doing things. Now the one thing we want to make sure too is that our permissions are RW, RR, right? It has to be read writable by root because that's you. But everybody else should be able to read this file because we're going to be using this to provide login services across our little domain and our pods. Right? So make sure that if you change this, that your entire process is what is the numbering permission for read write read read? Read write read read. What's the number for that? No, 644 is correct. You guys didn't expect a quiz this morning, did you? What is your instructor's name? What is your favorite color? All right. So, if you did not sudo apt-get install Apache 2, right? So if you didn't install Apache 2, go ahead and install it. All right. And then we want to go and grab. So does anybody remember how to? What happens if I just want to download the software? I don't want to install it as a package. Anybody remember how to do that? So nobody remembers how to do this? This is kind of the server version of it. All right, so it looks like I need PHP too, right? So what do I have to do to install PHP? Will that work? Nope. So just you have to put the version number on the end of it. Mm-hmm. So you need PHP, you need Apache. We don't need MySQL for this, which is good. Right? So we've got Apache, we've got PHP. Now we just need to download the next one as soon as this thing's done doing its thing. Now, does anybody remember how to connect to your Ubuntu server going from your Windows box? What do you have to do? PHP Ldap Admin. All right. Yep. What did I forget? Install. So we want to go ahead and just install it. Just take it and just go with it. How do I check my IP address? All right. So it shows me there 192.168.238.128. So that's my internal. Okay, so we change it over to NAT. So how do I check what its external IP address is? So I should be able to then go to all right, so that didn't work. So that means I don't have. No, try to figure out which is the right IP address for this bad boy. How would I check to see if Apache is running? Grep what? Okay. Yeah, I know, my typing is not the best today. One 192.168.238.128. So again, once we get this thing all going, all right, this may take me a minute to get this thing all going up. Yeah, I know. The problem is I've got a lot of VirtualBox IP addresses here. So that's my local one. Alright. The problem with packages, and this is why I kind of want you guys to learn how to do this as a download. But so we loaded this up as a package, right? So it shows that we have stuff that belongs to www-root and www-data. So if we go into Etsy, PHP, Ldap Admin, right, and we go into templates, just go ahead and take over root. Oh man, did I lock myself out of this? Chmod. There we go. Alright. There's all this other stuff that kind of goes along with it. So even though you've done this, it is so much easier to go through and try to download it as a package. So does everybody know what wget is as a command? Mm-hmm. What? Yep. Yep, so wget is another file. So if we go over to var www, and we go wget http, and we need to have the whole URL for this thing. Let me just go ahead and bring that up, and then bring that up. So wget http sourceforge.net projects PHP Ldap Admin files PHP Ldap Admin tech PHP 5, and then we need the file name that actually goes along with that. And what we want to do is we kind of want to check it against what we're going to see at the bottom here. All right? So what we want is that file. So we should be able to go ahead and download from that PHP Ldap Admin tech 1, tech 2, tech 3, tech zip. If we did this right, it will actually go out and try to grab that file for you. Right? So wget is a really good way of pulling down files without having to deal with the package installer, okay? So wget is a really handy way of downloading files without having to go through the package installer, because the package installer can be kind of a weird, loopy kind of process. I'm not a big fan of it. So as long as it can resolve the host name and actually pull the file across, what would be another way of doing this? So if I save it up here, what would be another way of so if I just go ahead and I extract it all here, what would be another way of getting the files over there? So if it can't resolve SourceForge, right? So if it can't resolve SourceForge, what's another way of getting the files over there? What could I do? You could move it. You could download it on your computer and try to do a shared directory, right? So we have that, sound card, auto detect, player, manage. So if you go into your virtual machine settings, right? Shared folders, you could always turn. And then we want to add. So we could do that kind of a share if we wanted to. This all depends on where I dropped it down to. Let me just re-download this again. All right, does anybody remember how to mount? Does anybody remember how to mount something? All right, what's the command for mounting? Oh, I just needed to download a fresh copy because I extracted it in the wrong spot. So, what's my command for mounting? Yeah, you said you knew how to mount a disk drive. Yep, how do you mount a disk? No, it's not a little button at the top. So Anton, where's the command for where if I made a shared directory with my Windows box to my Unix box, what's the command for mount? Going once? Going twice? Anybody else remember the command for mount? MT. MT is a good command for mount. So, oh, you guys don't even know how to mount drives. All right, so mounting a drive is like opening up a share in Windows, right? You basically, so if you put in a USB stick, it should auto mount in Linux and in Windows. So you can actually go ahead and put a USB stick in there. The computer system will automatically sense it and then bring it up. Sometimes, though, you need to kind of force it. So there's a command called MT. Right, which allows you to mount different file systems than otherwise. If you've enabled that, you can actually mount file systems across the network to kind of help you out. I'm going to recommend TLS if you do. Right, so you guys can not have all your stuff sniffed out across the network. But basically, it's like a share in Windows. It's the same kind of concept. It's just a little bit more difficult. All right, so you're going to see a directory in here called MMT. All right, and these are all the mounts that you have available to you. All right, so MMT is your mount, and these are all the drives that you have open to you. Right? So if you were to go into CD HDFS, which is mine, right, it will show you that my desktop was already there. All right, so when I opened up my share, I actually put it on my desktop. So if I CD into desktop, this allows me to go ahead and pull up everything that's on my Windows desktop right now. And this is one really handy way of moving files back and forth between the two. Right? So I'm seeing my desktop on my Windows side because I opened up that share by going to my player. And I know I'm using a different player than you are. Virtual machine settings, everything's got one like this. You're going to see something called shared folders. Right? So you want to go into your mount directory if you shared out your folder, your desktop folder, right? Because you're working in a virtual system. But this is one really cheap and easy way of getting software from point A to point B when you're using a server. If wget doesn't work because you can't get the full URL, and the package doesn't work because you can't find the hunkin' software to begin with, right? Because you don't know where it went, this is one way of getting software from your Windows desktop to your Linux server. Right? Make sense? So if I'm here, then I want to do is I want to copy. What's my command for copy? Oh man, why are we doing that? Alright, so I seem to just be the ADP Antichrist today. Right? So I should be able to just move it over, copy it to home student. But unfortunately, it's being fussy today. Either that or I'm typing it wrong. Omitting directory, PHP. Yeah, I can do that. Nope. All right. So let's take a quick minute break. All right. So here's where I get kind of like confused between Windows and Linux, and this is going to happen to you for the rest of your career. I forget. Remember, I unzipped it, so it's a directory. So you have to put in recursion to grab over the directory. So your answer to this, and if I was clearer thinking today, we would know. Sudo cp -r, then the whole file over. And then we should be good with that. So again, just a little slow. It's like my Monday. So I should be able to go to home student. And if I'm really, really, really lucky, I'm going to see my cd php star. And then this is going to be all my stuff that goes along with it. Right? So what do I want to do? I want to copy -r star over to var www. Permission denied. How do I change owner? Interesting. Oh man. Sudo cp -r star over to var www. There we go. I have to keep on remembering. So var, and then I should have all my stuff. All right, so liberal use of sudo, liberal use of recursion can really kind of help you out here as you're kind of going through this, right? So mount your desktop, go into mount, right? Go into your MNT directory, go into HGFS, go into your desktop directory, sudo cp-r the files over to your home student directory, because you know you can write there right off the bat, right? So you don't have to sweat anything. Unzip it, do whatever you need to do to manipulate it, and then move your files over to var www. You have to sudo cp-r. The reason why I'm asking you to cp rather than move, what's the command for move? mv, right? The reason why I'm asking you to move stuff over, or copy stuff over instead of move, is because if you screw up, you've at least still got that copy underneath home student, right? And if you've watched me today, screw-ups are like #1 on my list of things to do today, obviously. Right? So, do you guys want to run through this again? All in one piece? I recorded it anyways, but let's see if we can get a cleaner version of this, right? All right, so let's clear this. All right, so I want to go to my mount directory, cd mnt. All right, inside my mnt directory is HGFS. All right. And then I should see the directory I just shared out using Virtualbox or VMware Player, whichever one. So then I want to cd into desktop. And then I want to do ls-la. And that shows me my directory because I unzipped it here, right? So I want to go, yep, so I want to go sudo cp-r php star to home student, because that's where I exist, right? So I want to do this first. And if I type that right, it should copy that entire directory and all of its contents over, so that I've now moved software from my Windows box to my home student directory. Then I want to cd into home student. I want to see what we got. So then I want to go sudo cp-r php star over to var www. And then that should do it. All right? So that pulls software off your Windows box, puts it in your home student directory, and then puts it over in your var www directory. And the reason why I'm going to keep on asking you guys to use copy is because it can be kind of a pain in the butt. So if you do a share between your Windows, all right? So if you do this shared directory thing, under Manage, Virtual Machine, Options, Shared Folders, if you enable that, all right, just make sure of what you've got going. Yes, sir. It does work with your VirtualBox. So let me go ahead and pause this, and I'll show you how it works with VirtualBox. I don't have VirtualBox on this, so they keep on